Hey, hey. I would say hey, homegirls, but apparently some of the men were a little bit ruffled, girl, in the DM. Tell me why they were upset because I said hey, homegirls, and I was calling y'all my girls. So a couple of men called me and was like, hey, by the way, we felt left out. So good morning, homeboys, too. And homegirls, okay? Homegirls are the priority. Like, come on, girly. Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Business, the place where we go beyond all the polished moments, social media highlights, and luxury branding to bring you what actually happens behind building a brand. I'm your host, Tiffany Hope, and twice a week we're going to be right here talking about the beauty, the business, but most importantly, the balance. We're also going to be getting into entrepreneurship, marketing, generating your leads, all the things that you have to do on the back end. So make sure that you tune in. This is your look on what it takes to build a business from the ground up. We're dropping episodes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so remember to like, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications so that you never miss an episode. You can find us on Instagram at Behind the Business Talks. Remember to share this episode with your homegirls and homeboys, apparently, because we're all in this together and we're all building something. Now, let's get to today's episode of Behind the Business. Hey, y'all. I want to start off this episode by breaking the fourth wall, girl. We're going to be breaking it a lot, okay? 1, 2, 3. Broken. Let's just go ahead and get started. Girl, today's episode is partly about a new book that I have been reading called Atomic Habits by James Clear. Favorite book, okay? This one tops the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the Cash Flow Quadrant, all the books that we've read, girl, this one tops it because it talks about how small habits overall can build something really profound and really impactful. In our generation, or the second part of our generation, being on social media really has made us into what I call the microwave generation, where we think things are just going to happen right away. We think that our first time at something, we're going to be great. We think that we really don't have to put in all the effort that it really takes. And so this book has helped me to kind of just break things down. So let's start with Atomic Habits, the book. Girl, now, first of all, this is my copy of the book, okay? She got up. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Just know that I got it together because I done read this book a couple of times and it's my favorite. And so she just a little raggedy. Also, can we see this in the frame? Okay. Also, our books that are here, we're going to be doing a giveaway a little bit later of these 5 books, all Atomic Habit, for 5 of you ladies and gentlemen. But we're going to be doing a giveaway for 5 people, 5 viewers. And so that's going to come a little bit later, but this is my copy, and one thing I do with all of my books is that I take off the cover. I think it's very pick-me of people to be in public reading their, like, whatever self-help books. Is like, girl, okay, are you reading it for you or for us, right? Like, take the cover off. Don't nobody need to know. So when somebody sees me reading like this, they don't know what it is. Mind your business, all right? It's between me and my Atomic Habits, so boom. I first got this book when I was in London, and I read a great portion of the book on my flight back home, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so profound. So now, girl, when you get up in my book, I got a little highlight, okay? I got a little something because I need to annotate. I can't just read a book and then commit it to my brain. I need to underline what's going on, okay? So let's start with the parts I wanted to share with you all today. And one of them is going to start off with the definition of atomic and the definition of habits as soon as I find it in here. Girl, I feel like when they be at church flipping through to find a scripture, okay? But the point is, I know where the scriptures are. Don't play with me. Where's atomic and where's habits? Oh, here we go. First page. Got it. Thanks, James. Okay, so let's start with atomic and then habit. Atomic is an extremely small amount of a thing, the single irreducible unit of a larger system. So it's the first unit of measurement, like an atom. The second definition is going to be the source of immense energy or power. And then habit. A habit is a routine or practice performed regularly, which we all know, or an automatic response to a specific situation. So when you put together atomic and habit, you get an extremely small amount of a thing that is a routine, practice, or perform regularly. Let me say that again. An atomic habit is an extremely small amount of a thing that's a routine or practice performed regularly. A lot of times when we think about how we're getting through our day, how we're building our business and structure, we think about it as one whole piece. But I encourage you to, number one, read the book Atomic Habits, but secondly, to be able to break down your task list, break down everything that you have going on so it doesn't feel like this big mountain. Another thing that we do is we think that our passion and our career and our success is going to be this one defining moment. We tend to think, I just need to do this one thing, right? And then my business will be great. I just need to do this one thing and then I will look like how I want to look. I just need to be with this one person and then my relationship will be perfect. We think that, but really success hides in those daily habits. I have a very good friend, Anthony Miller, who serves as our chief of operations on my board for my company. And he told me something a long time ago is that success is not a surprise party. No person who is successful wakes up one day and says like, oh my gosh, wow, randomly, like I'm successful today. That's not how it happens. It happens like boiling water. A watch pot never boils. Over time, it develops the higher temperatures in order for it to get to a boiling point, but it's not going to happen all at once. And I get it. On social media, we log on, we see people who are producing their final results, their highlight reel, but nobody is really showing what it took to get there in the multiple steps. You see me here on this podcast, you are getting a final result of hours of research and prep, a production team, a social media team, hair, makeup, wardrobe. My mama is here steaming up stuff, okay, helping us out. It's so many different things that happen for you to get that product of success. So my purpose is for you to show yourself some grace and not think that things will need to all happen at once. I have one important part of the book that I also wanted to share that I reread all the time. It starts off on page 15, if you want to follow along. Why small habits make a big difference. It's so easy to overestimate the importance of one defining moment and underestimate the value of making small improvements on a daily basis. Too often, we convince ourselves that massive success requires massive action. That one line stood out to me when I first read this book because I thought exactly that. I thought that, yeah, I'm waking up every day, like, girl, okay, I'm putting my wig on. In this case, I got my braids done, doing my thing, getting my coffee, and I'm thinking all these tasks are so mundane. They're so trivial. Like, are they really moving my needle? The answer is yes. The answer is there's a difference between the Tiffany who wakes up and goes to get her Starbucks in the morning and unwraps her hair and puts on clothes than the Tiffany who hits snooze and lays in the bed. Those are two different women. And for as long as you're doing one, that's the result that you're going to produce over time. We might think of it as one day, a little bit of time, but really all of that compounded together, it's going to either equal your success or your demise. And that is very important, especially for the people who are getting a little up there in age, girl. We in the 30s and the 40s now, okay? So we're getting a little up there. And if you are in that space, definitely understand that your daily inputs is going to be your overall output. Another part that I want to share is what we call a small task or small win or minor setback. So one of them we can look at as positive, a small win. I might say it is a small win that I finished my book. It's a small win that I finished whatever project, right? To me, that might be something that's super small that I'm just saying. And I'm like, all right, girl, that's just like a small thing that's happening. There's nothing that's too crazy, too big. But then there's going to be something else like a minor setback. Do you know how many minor setbacks become major just because people are putting too much emphasis on what a setback can mean? That's how our minds are wired. So when we look at our history and our past and we look at our ancestors and the people who came before us, they were straight up in survival mode, girl. They were like, I ate this mushroom today and I felt crazy. I have to make sure I never eat that mushroom again. So when the brain sees that, it automatically is like, hey, something crazy will happen if we do that task, right? That's the same way that our conventional minds think about building anything. We think, I must stay away from it because it's out of my comfort zone. I don't know what this is. I want to make sure that I'm not going to die if I try to do it. Die is a very harsh word, but that really is how the brain works. On a chemical level, the brain thinks that it will die if it does something outside of its comfort zone. And that's up to us to say, I am okay. I practice so many tasks throughout my day. I'm okay. I get into my executive MBA course and some of the people are good at accounting. Some of the people are good at statistics. Some of the people are good at analysis. anything that's foreign to me, immediately I say to myself, I'm okay, right? We don't know this girl, but I'm okay. I can learn this. And the second that you put yourself in a space where you open up your mind to be able to learning even the smallest thing, you're way ahead of the game. And your only competition, I want to stress this, is you. That's it. We are not competing against anybody else because it's impossible to compete with anybody else. And I say that, and I mean it, because you can only be you. Every other person is taken. There's literally nobody else that you can be in the world except for you. So when you're trying to be better, you're not trying to be better than somebody. You're not trying to be better than a colleague or a coworker or somebody who's even on stage at your pageant in a competition. They're not comparing results one person to one person. They're comparing results against yourself. And that part was so profound to me. I'm like, I have to share this with the community. I have to let the community know I could never be in competition with another woman. She could never be in competition with me, because no matter how hard I tried, I could never be her. No matter how hard she tried, she could never be me. That's just what it is. So when we think about our small wins or our minor setbacks, those things are very specific to who we are. A minor setback for me looks very different than a minor setback from someone else. And that's the reason why we don't compare ourselves to other people, because whatever something is meaningful to somebody else, that doesn't mean that it's the same to me. I'm going to let y'all in on a little secret. My brain knows how to process big tasks. If I get a super huge task, my brain, she's going to do it right away. It's like, all right, we need to talk to our attorneys and file this paperwork, and my brain can sit down and do all these things piece by piece and get it done one day. But when it comes down to opening my personal mail that's been sitting at a pile on the table, I'm like, girl, I don't want to do any of that, okay? I like the big things. There are some people who are opposite, where there are some small things that they can get into easy. They can, bust down the paperwork. They could bust down the mail, right? And then when it comes to making big phone calls or a big step, they take months, even years to do it. One is not better than the other. Like I always say, one is just different. So it's about choosing your lane and understanding who you are and how these things operate within you rather than within somebody else. So something that seems like a small win, I can make it a big win if I want to. I can say, I'm here today filming my podcast, right? Consecutively. We've done an amazing job dropping our episodes so far. Everything has been going great. And guess what? I showed up again. And that's what it's really about. It's about those small steps that you're going to take and how they're going to be impactful overall. Showing up to film my podcast one day, okay? Y'all can get one clip. Showing up every time and over time, having a sense of consistency, regardless of how I feel, regardless of what it looks like. That is what an atomic habit is. Because by the time somebody sees this a year from now, there will be 62 episodes that they're able to go through, right? That only happens if I show up the first time and the second time and the third time and so on. That doesn't happen because I showed up one time. So a lot of things that we think about as a whole, let's begin to break them down, because it can be intimidating. If somebody said, hey girl, you got to film 62 episodes today. Girl, what? Y'all would never see, I would never see the light of day. Y'all would never see me out here. Okay. You can't pitch it to me like that. You need to break it down for me to be able to do my bite-sized pieces. That brings me to the story of getting my hair done yesterday. So I went to go get my Cheetah Curl Boho Knotless. They are out this month in June. Okay, girl, you see them. So we sell the Cheetah Curl, Leopard Curl, and Jaguar Curl. This is our Cheetah Curl. It is a 427. And then my braids themselves are number 27. So mine is going to be a little bit lighter. You'll see a few models on our page that is going to have number 4 braids. But she also has 427 Boho Knotless. Hers is going to be a little bit darker just because of the use of the braid. My point is, I get to the shop to go get my hair done, and my hair's just in a little bush. I got a shortcut, so the hair's sitting up like a little rooster girl. Hello. I walk in, and I'm like, do I really want to sit here for this whole time? I thought it was going to be like 6 hours. Girl, it took 12 hours. 12. I hope y'all are just as astonished as I am, because I had no idea. My mom had to stop her day and bring me a coffee, okay, in the middle of my day. That's how long I was around that. Like, I knew everybody's names at the end of it. I'm like, girl, what? So I get in there, and they start doing the first part down the middle. I have a side part now, but she started parting down the middle. And I remember feeling like, this is so much. This is so much. And you know what she did? She broke my hair down into 4 sections. Because she, as a hairstylist, imagine if she just had to start peeling one little braid off, girl, and just braiding one and comparing that to a whole head instead of breaking it down into her fours. And she just worked on this front section. And when she was done, she moved on to the next section. Overall, when I leave, my whole head is done, right? I'm looking at these small little pieces that have built up to a complete hairstyle or a complete project. But if we go into it and we think, I have this one out of however many braids this is, people probably wouldn't start. The thing is to make sure that you are not scaring yourself. A lot of people say, what's the phrase? Your goals aren't big enough if they aren't scary. Girl, let me tell you what I do when I'm scared. Fight or flight. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not working through something that I'm scared of. I wish I would see a bear in the woods that I'm scared of. And it's like, oh yeah, if it doesn't scare you, then it's not big enough. It's too big. It's too big for me to even process. Your goals are not big enough if they cannot be broken down. That's when your goals are not big enough, not when you're scared. We don't do anything out of scarcity, out of being fearful. That's not how we operate over here, okay? We're moving into something different. So instead of us saying, if your goals aren't big enough if they aren't scaring you, let's move to say, let's break those goals down, right? Let's make them manageable. Your goal should excite you, not scare you. That is the difference in how that should feel. So if I have a goal of completing a full project, let me break it down. And then I will put all these pieces together to see how they operate and to see how they go. That brings me to my next part of the book that I wanted to share with you all. It says, habits are compound interest of self-improvement. This part is astonishing, okay? If you get 1% better every day, then you are 37% better over the course of a year. If you get 1% worse every day, girl, that takes you down to 0. It doesn't matter if you were at 10% or 50% or 80%. If you do nothing, immediately 0. Imagine. Why is it set up that way? Girl, I don't know. I'm in data and statistics right now. That's not my business, okay? Let me just tell you, when it breaks down to something so profound, I was like, dang, so if I do nothing, I get 0? But if I do something, I get 1% and 1% and 1%. But if you add up all those 1% over the course of a year, you will be 37% better. So you can take yourself in 2 different spaces and you can say, for this year, I'm going to do nothing, right? I'm not going to put in any extra effort. I'm not going to chase these goals. I'm not going to do anything. An object at rest is going to stay at rest. Same as the first day, same as the last day. And in our brains, we're thinking, oh, it's the same. Really? It's going down because it's compared to being able to go up, right? Having the opportunity to build on something, just like money in the bank. You could put your money in there today and you're like, oh yeah, I have the same amount of money January 1st as December 31st. Well, really, you've lost money because the whole time you stand like this, it's people that's adding. It's people that's adding into their accounts. And you could have had off of that same amount, that same first amount, you could have added to it. But by doing nothing, essentially, we are losing. And that's not really taught. We're taught that if you stay neutral, if you do nothing across the course, then you will be exactly where you started. And that's just simply not true. That's just math. You will be below all the people who are still working, all the time that is still passing, and all the things that are still being done. Even if you are not the one that's doing them, the world will move forward, right? And when we accept that, we understand I have to be doing something or nothing. Because if you're doing nothing at all, you are staying directly in the middle of things. Even somebody who, let's take dating for an example. Let's say if you're a man, we're going to use that today so that the men feel included or whatever. If you're a man and you're dating a woman, and you're dating 3 women, right? There's one woman who's doing nothing. She right in that middle. She ain't calling. She ain't doing nothing. Okay. You got to call. You got to do all that. Then there's a girl who's negative. When she does text you, she's like, I can't stand you. Why you ain't taking me out? We supposed to go somewhere. And then you have a positive girl that's like, I really appreciate you taking me somewhere. Let me know when you have the time, right? Obviously, the better choice is the woman who's actually doing something. It's not the woman doing nothing. And if a show ain't the woman who's in the negative, right? That's how we have to think about our lives and our tasks. It's not about, yeah, let me just go ahead and coast and just kind of get through this. It's those small steps every day that are going to equal out. And when you zoom out, you're going to be able to see the impact. Another example is going to be an airplane. When airplanes start, they're only 1 or 2 degrees that a pilot might move the airplane or air traffic control. they might move the airplane. A 3-inch distance, girl, 3 inches. Guess what this is the distance between New York and DC. A flight coming from LA, 3 inches at the beginning. And look at the difference between New York and DC, right? A very small change in the beginning is going to have a huge impact over time. So by the time those two planes land, they left at the same spot, just 3 inches apart, they're going to land in two different states. Imagine if we didn't figure that out. Imagine trying to go to New York, girl, and you end up in DC or vice versa, right? That is the detriment of not changing a very small 3 inches in the beginning. And that is the same thing as life. Change something very small, it's going to have huge impact. And just like that plane can land in a different state, girl, you can land in a different state, okay? Like you can land in a whole other different place that you weren't trying to be if you don't put in that effort at the beginning. So I encourage all of our community, all of our followers, all of our viewers, allow those small changes to be impactful to you. Don't think that you have to take a huge step. And for sure, don't believe that success is a surprise party. Please don't ever believe that you're going to do one thing and that's going to be the aha moment, because it just doesn't work that way. That's what I have for you all today. I'm so excited that you joined us today, especially with our book, Atomic Habits. We're going to be doing a giveaway of our 5 books that we have here. See the description below for details for that giveaway. I'm excited for 5 of you in our community to be able to get this book, really dig in. Find us on Instagram at Behind the Business Talks and send us a DM from today's episode, because I can yap about it all day, y'all. I'm super excited to get into this book with you all, and I'll see you next time on Behind the Business. This part, I know we just talked about how the gentlemen were, a little upset, girl, that we said homegirls. This part is for the girlies, but also not just for the girlies. If you have a wife, if you have a mom, a daughter, a sister, or a woman that you care about, you're going to want to hear this part, because this is really important as far as women's ability to show up with their daily habits and allowing it to make a larger impact. So let's talk about feminine energy and the cycle. A lot of people don't know this, but a cycle is roughly 28 to 31 days. A lot of people hear cycle and they think period, but those are two different words with two different meanings, and we're going to get into it. Let's talk about, firstly, the difference between estrogen and progesterone. Run that back. Let's talk about the difference between estrogen and progesterone, girl, because you will be shocked at the results, okay? So you can think about estrogen as that growth, energy, hormonal expansion. That's what estrogen does. It expands your hormones in order for you to what? Have a baby. Girl, listen, when I decided to do this story time in this episode, I was like, a little bit of these facts are like a little bit depressing, but okay. So the main thing is that the female body, as much as I do not want to reduce women down to just procreation, girl, that's what the female body is made to do. It's the cycle. Every single day you're in one phase of the cycle or the next. And guess what the cycle is? To have a baby. That's it. The body at that time is built to produce children. And I think we might overlook what that means. When we were young, we were taught just about a period. Get your pad, get your period. Like, this is the part you need to pay attention to. It's like period, the menstrual cycle. Girl, did y'all know that there are 3 other phases outside of that affect you equally as if it were your menstrual cycle? That is going to play a role in your habits, how you show up every day, how you show up to work or business or for your children or for your spouse. We skip over all that, girl, and just be talking about a period. We're going to get into how men made them periods, girl, and they was using water as a test instead of actual blood. Let's get into it. I hope YouTube keep this episode up, girl, because it's going to be a little vulgar, whatever. So that's estrogen. Now we're going to get into progesterone. That is more of the calming, nurturing, preparing hormone. It's like preparing your house, girl, when you're about to have guests, preparing your car when you're about to have people in it, preparing your hair before you go to the shop, girl, because you don't want it looking all crazy when you roll up in there. You got to get the glue out. That is really what you can think about progesterone as. It's like that prep, right? So estrogen being more nurturing, more calming, and then progesterone being more prep and readiness. Now that we understand the difference between those two, let's get into the cycle, girl, so we can talk about cycle syncing and how it has an effect on our mood, our behaviors, and most importantly, how those habits make a big impact. Now, for the girlies, yes, I said the girlies. I wrote this down differently for the girlies. Really, your first day of your period is the first day of your cycle. Let's also put a little disclaimer. I am not a medical professional. I'm just letting y'all know what the facts say, okay? Medical professionals, chime in the chat. Let us know. The first day is going to essentially be the first day of your period. That's the first day that marks your cycle. That's what the world has told us. I'm going to do it backwards for us because really, by the time you get your period, you at the end of a cycle. Okay? You're at the end of the non-baby making cycle, girl. So when people say, finally, I got my period, it's because all the other cycles have happened. And now we're on the menstrual cycle. That's going to put us through to like, oh, I can see something. I can feel something. I can experience something, right? We have something to attribute to it, which is why we call it that. Okay. So I'm going to run it backwards. The 4 cycles are going to be your luteal phase, your follicular phase, your ovulation, and your period. I'm going to run that back. So the 4 aspects of your cycle are going to be your luteal phase, your follicular phase, your ovulation phase, and then your menstrual phase, aka your period, right? So we have all this 3 that people do not talk about, but they just talk about the 4th. Girl, be for real. We're going to get into it today. The way that a medical professional might explain this is going to be 1 to 4. It's going to go menstrual, follicular, ovulation, and then luteal. The way I'm going to explain it is going to be flipped, right? Backwards. So we're going to go luteal, ovulation, follicular, menstrual. And the reason I do that is for the girlies who are not pregnant, okay? I'm doing that so we can understand cycle syncing and what it means to show up in business and how it impacts our energy, our mood, our hormones. It impacts so many different things. And I'm going to tell you the reason that I'm going to flip it is because, like I said, that menstrual period, when we think it's the beginning, it's actually the end of a cycle. So let's start with number 4, luteal phase. Girl, the luteal phase is 10 to 12 days. The luteal phase, girl, oh my gosh. The luteal phase is when your energy gets low. So essentially, your body is just coming off of its last menstrual phase. So your luteal phase gets low because it's like, dang, we ain't even produce no baby. Girl, we tired. We did all that and it's like working a full shift. Girl, we did all that and nothing is happening. Your body is tired. So naturally during that 10 to 12 period, it's going to naturally be a situation where you are coming down off of a high. 10 to 12 days. It's only 28 to 31 days in each month, girl. And we spending 2 weeks coming down off of a high. Okay? Girl, okay. The next one is going to be ovulation. Something that I want the younger girlies to understand is that's your highest time to get pregnant. It is like your 99% chance to get pregnant. During ovulation, your energy is busting, girl. Like, you out here answering emails, girl. You out here picking up the phone. You out here picking up a coffee, girl. You going to get your dry clean. You doing everything. You get your energy is great. Your mood is great. Guess what? 1 to 3 days. 1 to 3 days, okay? And the older you get, it go from 3 days to 2 days. Girl, we probably got a half a day at this point. That's how wild to get on the ovulation phase. Your energy is great. That's 1 to 3 days out of your entire month. Then your body is like, okay, this is when we expect to have gotten pregnant, girl. During these 3 days, we have expected something to happen, okay? And when it doesn't, we get into the follicular phase. Girl, that's when the body realizes, oh, nothing happened. Nothing happened. It's time to go ahead and get that energy back down because I want to preserve my energy, right, in order to get pregnant. And once you don't get pregnant, that energy is gone. So you already have your luteal phase energy gone because it's preparing. You got your little bit of ovulation where your energy's up. And then you have your follicular phase where the energy is gone again. It's like, girl, will I ever get up to answer a phone call or email? Will I ever be able to get out of bed to go and run my business? Will I be able to get in a meeting or film my podcast or go and do all these things that are on our to-do list? So I want to be very clear about the difference between a man's 24-hour cycle and a woman's 28 to 31 day cycle. Those are very different. And those two genders are going to show up very differently in business. Let's get to the 4th phase, which is your menstrual. This is the one where we all know what a period is. We all know what the menstrual is. When we're taught about it, that's the only part that we're taught about. We're not taught that we will have low energy 3 weeks out of the month, girl. We're not taught that our bodies are made to produce babies. That's it. That's what your biology is produced to do. So whether you want a baby or not, whether you're trying to have a baby right now or not, the body is like, girl, we doing this. Whether you want to or not, as long as you got a cycle, your body is trying to do that. Okay? So we have to understand that we are at the bounds of our hormones, at our progesterone, at our estrogen. We are at the bounds of those things. So when I'm trying to run a business during my luteal phase, girl, the brain a little foggy. My energy is a little bit low. I'm not really doing those types of things where I'm like, let me, be so bubbly on this call. I might just answer the phone and say hello, right? Those habits, though, still, as much as we don't want it to, those habits still go to an overall bigger picture of what we're building. So when we get into that menstrual phase, and whether it's 3 days, I know some girlies that get it for 3 days, God bless you, okay? I know some girls that straight 8 days across. I know some girlies that's 10 days. It's different for everybody, right? Just like hair extensions, girl, it's going to be different for everybody. That's just what it is. So when you're in that phase, your energy now is still going to be low, right? It's still going to be a little bit low, but that's your body restarting. It's your body clearing out all of the preparation that it did. Think about a birthday party. Think about you having a birthday party and you have an empty room and an empty space that you have to create this birthday party. You got to put up decorations. You got to get a guest list. You got to get a cake. You got to get music. You got to get all these things. Think about our cycle like that. So when we are in our luteal phase, blank room, imagine standing in a blank room and just preparing it. Hey, let me put up some tables. Let me put up some shelving. Let me put up an ice tray. Let me put up a bar. Let me make sure people can park. It's not really that fun. Your energy is kind of like, right? Then you get the one day of the party, girl. The one day where you're like, oh, girl, we ovulating. It's the party. People showing up. Yes. But your hopes are by the end of that there will be a pregnancy. And when it's not, time for y'all to go home. Time for us to get into the follicular phase. Pack up your stuff and go ahead and go home, girl. Then when you get in that menstrual phase, let me tell you, everything you built up for that party, guess what? You got to take it down. That's exactly what the shedding is. It's the taking down of all the things that were built up because it thought, girl, that you were going to get pregnant. And when you didn't, it turns around and it just snatched it off the wall. Why y'all think cramps hurt so bad? Because they in there snatching stuff up off the walls, girl. They snatching stuff. They mad. They putting the cooler in. They doing all these things. And then it's like, you expect me to show up to work? You expect me to show up to my business? You expect me to show up and be a great parent and be a great woman and be nice. I can't tell you how many men told me, you should smile more often. You should pay a bill, my boy. Okay? That's what you should do. Because if you want me to smile, that's the only thing that's going to offset the phases of the cycle that I'm going through. But if we lack this knowledge, we just think a woman might be mean or just say PMS. We don't realize that every single day of every single week, there is a different phase that a woman is in. It's just like the moon, right? The moon is always going to come up every night. Since you've been alive, how many times the moon been up? Every day. Since a woman has been in her phases, how many times has she gone through these cycles? Every day. There is not one day that a woman doesn't fall in one of these categories unless she is before her period or she's after her period, right? Unless she's before the cycle or after the cycle. If you run into a woman in traffic, if a woman is being a B word in a Starbucks line, think to yourself, right? I wonder what phase this woman is in. You know how the moon has phases, right? And you're like, the moon is in this phase and that phase, right? We can go and take a picture. Don't take no picture of no woman because I'm going to pull up on you if you try to do that. But the point is, think to yourself, what phase is this woman in? Dang, I was on my meeting on Monday and I felt really happy. I was excited to see my coworkers. I was excited to see my staff. I had everything organized. I was thinking clearly. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, dang, I'm a little foggy. Did I say that on Monday? Am I the person that wrote that down? That is so normal for women. And I want us to understand as women or people who love women and run businesses with women and work with women, it's not going to be the same every day. Women have that one party a month, girl, that one ovulation day. 1 to 3 if you're blessed, okay? In order for her to have that high energy. Of course, we would love to be ovulating every day. Could you imagine? If we just ovulated every day, could you imagine if my staff logged on and it was like, Tiffany is so fun and refreshing every day. Girl, you got 2 weeks of that luteal, okay? And 1 week of that follicular, so you better come right. That's all I'm going to say. So when we understand the phases, the different phases that are outside of period and the things that we've been taught, we understand that it is almost impossible as a woman in business to show up the same every day. We're just not built for it. That's just not how God made us. That is not the anatomy. That is not the biology. That's not it. And so you see men who are successful in business. And if you ever seen a man in business, because we're going to get into that. You ever seen a man in business, girl? Girl, you know what I'm talking about, okay? So it's because they have a 24-hour cycle. A man in the morning, it's a new day. It's like, wow, this is good. The sun is up, girl. I'm about to start brand new, get my coffee and go out. They're just not thinking the same way that women think, and that is not good or bad. It's just different. So as a woman in business or as a man in business, let's show our counterparts some grace. Let's understand that the reason that this man always has a consistent energy and shows up on time and does a great job is because of his biology, because of his 24-hour cycle. It is meant to be that way. This woman is showing up and she was nice to me this time, but she wasn't so nice. Or I was in this meeting, I had a lot of really great energy, but I'm kind of tired this time. Understand that we have those cycles, and the more you know about yourself and your cycle, the better off you will be, because you'll be able to cycle sync. That is something that I do. I do not schedule meetings on days where I know when my luteal phase, when I'm a little foggy, when I know I'm not going to be my best, no meetings. Because I'm doing myself and my staff and everybody a disservice by trying to show up and power through and push through. Again, on the channel here, our community is also about balance. It's about cycle syncing. It's about knowing when I have these meetings, and trust me, I own my business, so I can manipulate my schedule how I want. That doesn't necessarily happen in a 9 to 5. You still got to show up for these meetings, whether you started your period today or yesterday, girl, you still got to show up. So when it comes down to it, you understand those things, be gentle with yourself. I know I have these things going on, and I know I just got into my ovulation phase, so I might be a little bit more, poppy. I might be a little bit more interested, right? Accept that. That's great. But also, that doesn't identify who you are as a woman, because we have all these different things, because we are diverse, because our hormones go up and down. Those things are beautiful. Do you want to know why? Because our body is preparing for the ultimate job, creating life. And that is more important than any job on the face of this earth. That is your body being prepared to create life. And that helps me put into perspective when I think my business is so important, and when I think all these things are a priority for me. My body is constantly on that cycle, and my body is doing the one thing that it is here to do, which is reproduce. And I respect that. Whether I want to accept it or not, whether I want to believe it or not, I accept that my body is going to do its thing on its cycle. And from knowing that, I'm able to cycle sync and sync my calendar with my actual cycle in order for me to be my best self, and for me to put things exactly where they go. So I want to leave all of the men and women with this today. Let's be gentle. Let's be okay with understanding our biology, our anatomy as human beings, and let's show women some grace. And the last part is, don't be telling a woman to put a smile on her face because you don't know what phase she in that. You don't know what she doing. Don't do it. Thank you all so much for tuning in, girl. Okay, I don't know what phase I'm in the cycle, but the point is, thank you all so much for tuning in. Another topic that I'm extremely passionate about. As you can tell, I say this all the time. Make sure that you share this episode with a friend, somebody who really can soak up this information and be able to extrapolate and apply it to the women that they know or the woman that they are. Thank you so much for tuning into Behind the Business. I will see you on the next episode.